All right, we are live here in Science.
Hello, welcome
everybody.
Yeah, welcome guys.
I'm going to go ahead and pull Gregory up here, but maybe you could start by introducing yourselves.
Okay, I can start. So I'm delighted. I'm the science lead, Giselle woman. I'm here live from Argentina. I live close to Buenos Aires, in a coastal city called Mar del Plata. And I've been in the Regen team for almost, I would say 3 years now. So it's been a great honor to be almost from the beginning here and joining and bringing my knowledge to this beautiful and amazing project. So I'm really grateful. And so Sam and Sophia are my team partners. Would you introduce yourself? Sam or Sophia?
Yeah. Wonderful. Hi all, thanks so much for joining. As Giselle mentioned, my name's Sophia. I'm also part of the wonderful, fabulous, amazing Regen Network science team. I love working with these other two. I'm calling in from Northern California in Chico. My background is in environmental science. I love and I'm so interested in working in remote sensing, the potential of using satellite data to just better understand our land. So yeah, we can really dig into the science today, and I'm so excited to be here.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm calling in from Salt Lake City in the US. I also have a pretty big background in academics and majored in geography and computer science and worked on a variety of remote sensing projects in glaciology and hydrology. And then come this last fall, I joined on with the Regen team and have been diving deep into the world of soil carbon and above ground biomass and forests. And it's been really exciting to do this work. So stoked to have you guys all join.
All right. I won't introduce myself, but I'll set a little bit of framing, and I'm mostly just going to be asking some questions to help draw out the wisdom of this fantastic team that is really, I think at the heart of everything that's happening at Regen Network. And, people have alluded to the sale of carbon credits to Microsoft, which happened. And, I just credit where credit is due. That was really due to innovation and the leadership of the science team in creating a new methodology for monitoring, quantifying, and verifying soil organic carbon in grazing systems using remote sensing. It has never been done before, and this was innovated and brought to market in a mad flurry of intense long hours and really hard work and really rigorous science. And just Microsoft was not purchasing anything to do with the blockchain when they made their decision about this. They were purchasing the rigor and integrity of this science team and the work that they put into trying to innovate a new way to measure and monitor soil. So just kudos to everybody for your fantastic work, and just to invite the community to understand how important science is. I think I'd like to frame most of our conversation with, just the sort of the headline, which is, hey, so you have a fantastic science team. Why not build a business model that is just about that science team monetizing their epic skills? What are we doing here if we're not just monetizing your brilliance and your capability as a team of scientists? And what does Regen Network need to succeed from science? And just sort of teeing that up. And maybe Giselle, if you'd like to speak to that first and then pass it around, and feel free to interpret that question how you will.
Yeah, so this is a great question because it really goes to the soul of what the science team is trying to advocate for, and why we are working at the service of the main idea behind Regen Network. So yes, you're right. It could be a good business model for sure, but it wouldn't tackle the final goal of creating a global change and a shift, a pivot, an inflection point that everyone here wants to really make possible. So the intention, even if we have created some, I would say maybe we call it cutting edge technology development or methodologies that are gaining a lot of interest and could certainly be part of a model. That the intention behind that was only to show an example of what could be done and inspire others. So the main goal of the science team is to create a whole community of monitors and developers of methodologies and the project developers and the verifiers that would be trying to allow for this monitoring of and verification of the outcomes of applying regenerative management globally. So that's the main intention. We see there's a huge gap between the science and all the knowledge. So me coming from the academia, doing research for so many years, working as a professor in the university, working as a main researcher for an organism that is very recognized here in Argentina. I've been creating papers for so long. So now I think there's a gap between all the knowledge that's out there and the applied science, and we could easily create that very bridge and allow for the application of all this new technology, which is emerging at a really quick rate, I would say. All the satellites or all the IoT, everything is emerging quickly. So yeah, we need to create the good conditions so that everything links.
Yeah, fantastic.
Sophia, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm hearing a little feedback. I don't know if that's just on mine, but I think another way to contextualize this as well is just the fact that we've, created a methodology, what we call our Carbon Plus, and that's focused on the grasslands ecosystem. And that was kind of the first jump into creating a credit and understanding the whole process. But really, the goal for us, not only on the science team, but within the larger network, as Giselle mentioned, is to create this larger ecosystem. So we don't want to just stop at grasslands. We want to expand to forestry. We want to look at cropping ecosystems. There's so many people all around the world, so many land stewards doing amazing work, regenerative practices, and they should be rewarded for that. And so really the goal from our perspective is to create this community, figure out what are the onboarding procedures, how do we set up a network, how do we get other people, other experts in the field, say someone who knows a lot about agroforestry or cover cropping, coming in to develop separate external methodologies and then bringing that into the network. So I think that's just a good way to frame it in terms of the big picture. We don't want to stop at grasslands. There's so much more work to be done, and we're excited to kind of be at the start of this and looking out onto the horizon to see all the different opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, I think these guys summed it up really well. I think similar to Giselle, coming from an academic background where you put in so much amazing work to, produce a paper that's written by, a lot of experts in your field, it feels really great. But one thing that really attracted me to Regen was the idea of, an open source science community. So we're all working together and participating to, share the work that we've been doing, share data, share tools, and instantly get feedback from one another so that we could further the work and, create tools that are directly applicable to the important work that's being done on the ground. I think our participation in the open team community is, a really good sign with that. There are a lot of amazing folks working there on soil science and, like farm management applications, and to be able to participate in a growing network of scientists and, software developers who are trying to, share ideas, not reinvent the wheel, but just like build on, kind of the snowball to a larger application it's really great. So.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to see if you guys can all mute for a second. I'm not sure what the feedback is. So just to zoom out and talk a little bit about I think this image of an open source science community, a community in which there's citizen science taking place, in which academics and field technicians and farmers, institutions are all working together to create the most rigorous and up-to-date way to monitor ecological health and make sure that that information is both accessible for the foundation for new assets like soil carbon credits, but also accessible for decision making. Just to sort of bring that to now, what are the next steps that are being taken in order to invite, you mentioned open team, Sam, maybe how are we going about building a community? And what are the steps that are necessary right now in order to bring together scientists and farmers, et cetera, to be creating momentum here?
That's a good question too. And it's not easy to answer. There are several steps that we are considering as the main important ones. So on the one side, we are creating in-house methodologies like the one we created for grasslands in order to test and to have feedback from the people in the different communities of developers and the curators of the methodologies, and feedback from the ones that will be applying, like the monitors, and also from the farmers. So that's like a learning process that we are going through, which also involves a lot of documentation and tools that we are creating for them to be engaging in a way that is easy, user-friendly. So we're thinking about the structure and the architecture along with the registry in order to create that user experience as smooth and simple and easy as possible. That's one. Then there's a lot of room for increasing the community from the open team and from other communities that we see that are kind of converging to this purpose. So we are connecting, we are opening channels for discussion. We are trying to connect and also learn from the farmers what's needed from their point of view. And then Sam, for instance, is doing an amazing job on translating the in-house methodologies that we are creating into something that is open and that could be run by the verifiers or the monitors. And Sam, maybe you can speak a little bit more about your digital MRV tools.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I think that we did a great job on our first methodology, and to make it accessible to everyone, going along with the idea of open source science, some of this stuff requires some more technical skills. I come from a computer science, GIS, remote sensing background, and to create and automate these kind of geospatial workflows in a way such that it's more accessible to a variety of stakeholders, whether it's giving insight to land managers on how their data is being used, or providing other monitors or verifiers with the tools to replicate the process and see, the code that was used to play around with the data that calculated these soil carbon stocks, is kind of just one effort that we're using to create this, platform in a more accessible way. And to jump back to your question, Gregory, in addition to digital MRV tools, one thing that we've been working on a lot recently is creating a bunch of documentation to kind of guide people through the process of designing a methodology or engaging in a project. I think that it's really difficult to start from scratch on writing a scientific paper or a methodology of, how do you turn this work into a process which you can monitor it and either calculate carbon or, measure biodiversity. So in the coming months, we hope to have a really good landing page for methodology designers and project developers on, how can you engage, either just contributing your ideas and talking with us on the science team of, is this feasible, to hey, I've written an awesome methodology and like I want next steps and I want feedback, like who in the open source science community is going to provide that feedback? I think that that's a really good stepping stone that we're working on to kind of create these little communities that are currently siloed, but you know, we really want to bring them together in just a kind of unified way.
Yeah, and I would add that the longer term. Do you have feedback? Okay. The longer term vision is that we will create also an ecosystem of people that could be living and working with Regen in order to provide their services. So scientists willing to contribute, but also to have a source of income could be working around. So we are also intended to create that possibility for all the scientists and the research groups around the world in order to uplift all this. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm curious. I'm just going to check on the time here. One last question. I would love to just hear a brief explanation at a high level, no details, of what it means to integrate the a natively digital approach to monitoring, reporting, and verification, and what it looks like, what we're envisioning to be possible, so that scientists can engage to assemble claims or to provide insights from whatever the software that they're sort of most used to. I'd love to just like get a quick tour of what that looks like.
Okay, I can try. I'm not the best one summarizing, and maybe Sam and Sophia can help. But the main idea is that if there's any claim around the implementation of nature-based solution, there should be different actors verifying that. And if you have everything in a digital way so that the whole process, or at least key parts of the process, could be open, transparent, and verified, and be provided, linked to the blockchain, so that everything is trustable, and you can also reproduce whatever that has been done in order to audit that claim. That's what we think is the value of creating everything in this way, to have it digital. So if you think of, as you're saying, well, I will leave it like that, like the main idea. Sam and Sophia, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback on that a little bit, and then Sam, you can hop in kind of the final minutes here. But as Giselle said, really the goal with our overall process is to, promote trust and transparency. So there's a lot of claims out there that can be from, as I mentioned before, can be from forestry to grasslands or cropland type. And really the goal with what we're trying to do is to make sure that all the data that goes into a certain analysis, a certain claim, if we're talking our carbon plus credits, the number of credits on chain, that should be available, that should be accessible. There shouldn't be any black box analysis or approach. Everything should be very transparent. That is really why we're sticking to this open source framework, not only with methodology development, but also with the verification process that we go through following the close of a project. And this is going to develop as we take on more methodologies, but really, yeah, it's all about that transparency and trust that we can build surrounding all the claims that we make on our platform.
Yeah, just to kind of sum that up and then add in a little bit of the science side, I think that, we're at a place in our world where everything's transitioning into a digital world, and whereas more traditional science might have just been, you go out in the field and you collect everything, write it down on paper, and then go back to the lab and, send it around. Like, we're at a place where, you know, you could go out with your smartphone and then collect your soil sample location, upload your soil sample data, and then send that to a server, and then scientists can immediately start working on that. You know, we're in a place where satellites are orbiting the globe and providing you with a image of a same area every 16 days. And so to be able to combine, you know, the really important work that's being done on the ground, which we'll continue to do, with remote sensing and our ability to kind of like automate workflows and processes and share data across the world, I think that that will really help, you know, open the door for transparency and more people working on this together. It'll increase the speed. And this all allows like land stewards in very remote parts that were previously unable to participate to now engage in a really important way. So I think that that's kind of, you know, one amazing aspect of harnessing the digital world that we now live in.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you to the fantastic Regen Network science team, Regen Network Development Incorporated science team that is actively working to build a vibrant open source community, engaging with our partners at Open Team and beyond, and just doing a lot of really fantastic work. So thanks for hopping on to share a little bit of your insights with the community. And for folks who are interested, there is an open science channel on the Discord, so you can hop into Discord and connect with our science team and other people who are passionate about this very subject. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, science team, for the win. So just we're going to pull everyone over to our next session, which is going to be chatting with some of our esteemed partners in the Cosmos ecosystem, and we'll be seeing you over there in just a minute. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll catch you in 60.
Yeah, thanks you. Thanks, everyone. I see there's people from Brazil, people from Uruguay joining too. So yeah, I just wanted to say hi to my South American friends.
Adios, team.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.